Entertainment Multisword here, and I'm back to talk about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 3, and my thoughts on this amazing episode. It was fucking amazing. Like, every fucking bit. I can't believe how good it was. I'm pretty bloody shocked right now. Now, yes, we've had 2 good episodes from this show so far, but this episode just... it changes the game, man. It really does. The story is amazing. What we found out about a certain group of people returning. Oh my fucking god. I'm a fucking Deep Space Nine diehard fan. So, finding out the group that's back is amazing to me. The music in this episode is amazing. Everything's fucking amazing. I can't point anything bad that happened in this episode. The people writing this show now, they are Star Trek fans. They understand what we want. They're not trying to pull any shit. Now listen, the swearing is getting annoying to me, but I'm not going to give it a down vote for that shit, okay? They swear, whatever, fuck it, fine, whatever. This episode, it's just, I can't believe we didn't get this from day fucking 1. How the hell did we get 2 terrible fucking seasons of Picard, and now we've got this? And the problem is, right now, not enough people are watching this. If you're a Star Trek fan, you have to watch Picard, or at least watch episode 3. It was just absolutely fucking amazing. I mean, Worf is back. That's great. Finding out what he's been up to is also great. Raffi, she's just not she's not terrible, you know? I can watch her and I'm fucking happy she's on screen. Nothing... this show is just fucking gorgeous to watch. Gorgeous to look at. The story is fucking amazing. It makes sense. And it really does bring you back to the past of Star Trek. You know, you're so into this episode. Everything else is just... you know... I can't believe how good it is, man. I really can't. I am fucking speechless because I didn't expect this. Okay, we've had good episodes, we've had great episodes. This was an amazing episode. It's fun, it's exciting, and you want to watch more. It's a 10 out of 10 from me. This episode is just what you want from Star Trek. It's a 10 out of 10. I want to go to spoilers now. I don't want to waste any more time. I'm going to spoilers now. It's a 10 out of 10 from me. Fuck it, let's just go. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So the episode starts off with the strike chasing the Titan. Now the strike is too powerful for the Titan to take on its own, so they're doing what they did in the Wrath of Khan, you know, hide in a nebula and try to escape. Well, that's Riker's plan, basically, or Shran's plan, not Shran. What's his name again? Sure, that's his name. Sorry, kind of forgot. Sorry, a lot of stuff happened in this episode. I'm trying to get through it. I'm pretty excited. Sorry. So Shaw is captain. They're getting chased by the... there's so many S's, for God's sake. The strike, they're getting chased by the strike, so they go to Neb and they hide because they can't, you know, handle the strike. So that's what they do. Then we have a scene that goes back to the past where you see Riker and Picard having drinks, celebrating the birth of Riker's son. And what I loved about this scene is you see that, you know, Riker is so happy to be a father. He explains the feeling of worrying about his child, and he explains how the turbo lift down to see his wife having the child was like an eternity because they were worried that something went wrong with the birth. And Sadi, you know, she might have struggled in the birth, so he was dead worried about that, but his son was fine. Only problem, and this is not Star Trek Picard, I mean, this is not season three's fault, is the fact the son died. And I've always kind of thought that was a dumb decision that they'd made in the first season of Picard, because Riker would have done anything to save his son. And the way they killed his son off was so ridiculous. But that's just the past. But anyway, so they had this heart-to-heart moment with each other. And Picard kind of, you know, you kind of see he's a bit sad. Well, he's not sad. He's happy for Riker, but kind of sad that he never got the chance to be a dad. And Riker said to him, maybe one day you'll become a father and, you know, you'll enjoy this moment like I did. But Picard pretty much knows this is, well, he thought his time or that part of life was done for him. So he wasn't really worried about that part of life. And you kind of remember that, yes, Picard didn't really want to have a family, but when he lost his brother's family, he did start to care about his family. So it's great to see callbacks, and it's also great to see moments like this where you see just two men talking about being fathers, because you don't really get a lot of that, you know, in modern day, you know, entertainment. They're kind of just men are being idiots. Like, we want to be dads, we want to have a, you know, a reason to live, and being a father is a pretty important reason to live. So I do like that part of this new season of Picard. They're showing that fathers are not dickheads. Fathers are actually important, and they do want to be dads, which is great. So that scene ends. We go back to present day. The Titan finds somewhere to hide, and Shaw tells the crew to take a break, get some R&R, and report back to duty later, because it's been a very hard day for them. He doesn't want to work them to death, basically. So some of the crew go down, take their break, but Geordie's daughter goes to see Seven and tries to tell her that, you know, she's still liked among the crew. They still want to come back and not just to give up. We also see that Seven has a model of the Voyager in her room, which I thought was actually pretty nice callback. And Seven's kind of happy that the crew like her and the crew consider her a friend. So Seven has definitely become, she's become a lot more likeable in the last couple of episodes, which I like. She's growing on me. I'll give her that. She's growing on me. So the next scene is a fucking amazing scene between Beverly and Picard. Now, Picard goes to see Beverly to pretty much confront her about why she never told him about the fact that he has a son. And Jack's also there, but Riker kind of pulls him out so Picard and Beverly can have this heart-to-heart with each other. And in this scene, I was very worried, because this is Picard, and we have got in the whole Picard has to apologise to the woman for 2 seasons. But in this scene, Picard let Beverly have it. He is pissed off at her for not letting him be a father. And I like the fact Beverly didn't just sit there and take it. She explained herself. She said, yes, I wanted to tell you, but every time I tried to tell you you had a son, you were either dealing with Romulans trying to kill you, or Remans trying to kill you, or somebody trying to kill you. And I didn't want to lose a son because someone was trying to kill you. And I just thought this scene was great, because they're both making good points. I mean, I think Picard is right, because he should have been told that he had a son. But Beverly does have real concerns, because she did lose her son. Again, we might not like the prick, well, at least the guy who plays Wesley, but she did lose him to the whole magical people thing. I've completely forgot, because again, it is Wesley Crusher, and I tend to avoid Wesley Crusher episodes. But yeah, she lost him. And she also lost a husband, and she didn't want to lose another son. And again, this scene is just amazing because it just shows that the writing is just so fucking good. It's just amazing to watch and to think about both sides' position. Again, what Star Trek used to be. It didn't used to be them telling you which side to be on. It's basically telling you both sides of a fucking argument, which is what made Star Trek great. But I am on Picard's side here because he should have been told. He wanted to be a father. And if he had been told, he probably would have left Starfleet. He probably would have gotten away from the danger. But then Beverly comes back with, you might have left Starfleet, but there would have been something that would have pulled you back in, and eventually you would have been in danger, and you might have gotten Jack killed, and I can't live with losing another child. And so basically they had to leave it at that because they are in the middle of a situation with the strike chasing them. So Picard has to go back to the bridge because he has pretty much put the crew in a seriously dangerous situation. So he heads back up to the bridge. He grabs Riker, but I should mention the scene between Riker and Jack. So Beverly did tell Picard that she did tell Jack about him, so Jack knows who his father is. And when Riker talks with Jack, he says, I'm staring at you because, well, Jack asks why he's staring at him, and he's just like, you do look a bit like your dad. And he's like, that's not my father, he left me, blah, blah, blah. He kind of has abandonment issues, I'm guessing, and he's not really happy with Picard not really being there. Even though it's not really his fault. I mean, he didn't know about you, but there you go. But Riker's trying to get through to him and say, listen, you are your dad's son, you should try to get to know him. But Jack, again, doesn't really want to do that. He wants to kind of focus on the situation like his dad, and he doesn't really want to get into a heart-to-heart with Picard. So Picard comes out, grabs Riker. Riker tries to pull him aside and say, why are you not talking to your son? You can't just waste these moments because one day you might not have them. But Picard says, listen, we have a real situation going on, and that part of, well, that relationship is just dead. I've not been there for him. He does blame me. So Picard just wants to get on with the job and get the crew home safely. So they get to the bridge, but then the ship is attacked by the strike, and it completely annihilates the bridge. Well, it blows up the bridge, knocks out a few crewmen, but especially it knocks out Shaw. And Shaw, now I've not been a fan of Shaw because he's been a dick. No, he's not been a dick. He's been a cunt for 2 episodes. But in this episode, I gotta say, he acted like a captain. He acted like a Starfleet officer. He knew he couldn't go on anymore because he was seriously injured on the bridge after the strike's attack. And he hands over command to Riker. Gives him control. He gives him all the codes and all that stuff and hands it all to him. And then he heads down to the med bay to get help because he is pretty damaged after that attack. So Riker takes over the ship and pretty much tries to find another hiding place for the USS Titan. And he then makes Admiral Picard his number one. And they do a little joke between themselves. And Picard says to Riker, you should call me number one because I'm your number one. And I thought that was a funny moment because, again, you know, they've reversed positions and it is funny to see that. Pretty is. We then go to another scene where we see Raffi unconscious, or at least waking up from being unconscious, and remembering what's happened, you know, the fact she's been rescued by somebody. Then she starts hearing music and somebody training. Turns out to be Worf. She heads to Worf with a phaser, but Worf pretty much uses his warrior skills and grabs the phaser from her. And when Raffi asks who he is, we get this amazing monologue from Worf. You know, he's from the House of Moog, he's son's father, and he's also the slayer of Gowron, which I just thought was amazing to remind us that yes, he did kill Gowron in in Deep Space Nine. But yes, it turns out Worf is her handler, but he is not working. At least he's not working officially for Starfleet. I think he's working for the Klingons. But anyway, so Raffi asks who he is. Again, we get him telling her who he is. Then she remembers, oh yes, Picard told me about you. You're a legend. So you're my handler. And he says, yes, I am. And he's also made some chamomile tea, which I just thought was hilarious. Have I mentioned the music yet? Because the song that Worf is playing is the exact same song played in First Contact that Picard was playing when he didn't get called up to fight against the Borg, which I thought was really interesting. Again, the music for this show is great because it's all the old stuff. They're not trying to make any new crap. They're giving us what we want, the old music, and it just feels more like Star Trek when you use that music, and that's just fucking fantastic. But anyway, so Worf says, well done for getting this far, and are you okay from the withdrawal because you've taken drugs? And Raffi's kind of goes back to being a bit depressed because she did give up her family, and she also gave up her sobriety to get this mission done. But Worf says, listen, you're a warrior, you'll get through this, thanks for your help, I'm gonna go and finish the mission, basically. And Raffi's like, no fucking way, I'm helping you, I've sacrificed too much for this mission. And again, I just fucking love Raffi now, because she did sacrifice a lot, and she is loyal, and I have completely 180'd on Raffi. Okay, for 2 seasons I hated her. Now I fucking love the character. You see what happens when you actually fucking write good characters? You can change people's minds when the characters aren't crap. But anyway, Raffi refuses to be sidelined by Worf, so Worf says, fine, we'll work together and figure out who really attacked the Federation. Now, what I usually do with the whole Raffi part story is I usually get through her story quick because I want to focus on the main story, but I can't do it in this review because what they both find out is pretty important to the final part of the episode. And oh my god, I'm so fucking happy these people are back. I really am. So, they both agree to work together, and then we go to the next scene. Wait, then Worf reveals the person who actually hired Snee, that Ferengi from last episode. Turns out it's a human who hired him to blame the Romulans for the attack, or at least give evidence to the Federation that it was the Romulans who attacked them. And it turns out it's a human being who hired them, or at least that's what we're supposed to think. Next scene, we see Riker and Picard talking strategy about how to deal with the Strike. Now, the Titan is not as powerful as the Strike, so they can't go one-to-one combat with the ship. So Riker wants to hide in the nebula for a couple of more hours so that they have enough time to fix the warp drive, then get to the edge of the nebula and then walk to the nearest star place for help. But Picard, who's more of a military man, is more of an attack man, says that they need to focus on an attack on the Strike to disable it so they can get away. But Riker doesn't want to risk the crew in that sort of offensive because, again, they are massively outgunned by the Strike. And you can also see Picard's like, yes, I know we're outgunned, but if we play this right, we can surprise them and we can hit them hard and then get out of here. But again, Riker doesn't want to risk the crew. So as he's captain, he decides they're going to hide out in the nebula for a couple of hours and again do the warp. Then we go to the sick bay where a couple of crewmen are getting healed up because they were injured in the attack. So the medbay is full of crewmen, and Jack and his mum are there to help, fix and save the crew. The Doctor doesn't like the fact Beverly's there because she doesn't know. Well, apparently the Doctor thinks Beverly Crusher doesn't know how to use any of the equipment and could risk people's lives, and that's going to be on her if Beverly does kill somebody. But again, this is Beverly Crusher. She's a great Doctor. She obviously knows what she's doing. But you also got in this scene, I think this is the scene, some of the crew they kind of blame Jack for their predicament. They kind of see him as the enemy. I didn't really particularly like this scene, I have to admit. Again, it's not a problem, but Federation officers being dicks like that, listen, it's your job to help people. Just because you're, might die, that's a part of the job. You can't just be pissed at Jack because, you're there to help him and you may die because of it. Again, your Starfleet officers, act like it. But Beverly helps the crewman, Jack helps as well, and then Beverly sees that Shaw needs medical help and the Doctor doesn't really know what's going on. She realises that he has internal bleeding and mentions the fact the scanners might not be able to detect it. So she gets Jack to help roll him over, and then Shaw starts talking about how is the strike still finding them, because there must be a reason that they cannot get away from the strike. Why is it the strike keeps appearing and attacking them? So Jack kind of starts looking at the blood all over the place and then starts to realise something must be being tracked, or they must be leaving a blood trail or a trail of some kind. So Jack runs off to talk to Seven, who's still under guard, which I kind of think is ridiculous, but there you go. Or at least she's still not being given back her duties. But Jack goes to talk to her, tells her what he's kind of figured out, that they must be leaking something. So Jack and Seven head off to, I think, a small engineering area, and then they figure out that the ship has been sabotaged and somebody has left a trail for the strike. So Seven tries to plug the leak, and Jack's also there to help, but when Seven goes off to fix the main leak, Jack is attacked by a random crew member who knocks him out and then tries to sabotage a little bit more of the ship and then legs it. Now, this person is going to be important later because of who he actually is. But Jack's on the floor, he's breathing in toxic air because they're both wearing breathing masks not to breathe in the oxygen because it's toxic. But Jack couldn't really win against this Federation officer. He gets knocked out. He starts breathing in the air. He starts to have these what are they called? Hallucinations. That was stupid. Hallucinations about like Seven and weird tangle things on the top of the roof, whatever. And yeah, he's pretty much breathing in toxic air, and it's pretty much doing serious damage to his body. Seven finds him, grabs him, takes him down to sickbay, where he's pretty much goes unconscious, and then Beverly tries to save him. And when Seven tells Riker and Picard about it, the fact that Jack's in serious condition, and the fact they have a leak that could be sabotage, which Picard and Riker have a conversation about, which is like, we're being sabotaged, so that's how they're finding us. We can use this to our advantage to set a trap for the strike. Also at the same time, the science officer tells them that the nebula they're in might not be a nebula. It might be a living life form or something. So that is also a problem for the Titan, because this entity might start attacking them and causing serious damage to the ship. So they have to pull out as far as they can out of the nebula so they don't get damage to the ship, which is putting them more in danger because that gives the Strike more of an opportunity to attack them. But then Seven tells Picard about Jack, and Picard then heads on. Well, it is Riker to tend to go because, well, he's still a Starfleet officer. But Picard heads off, he gets in the turbo lift, and then he starts to feel what Riker felt when he dealt with the same situation about nearly losing a son in sickbay. And it's going to be the longest turbo lift of his life, which I thought was just a great fucking scene. Seeing the panic in Picard's face, and, you know, he can't do anything to save his son. So Picard gets to sickbay. Beverly is trying to resuscitate Jack. It's not working. She tries a bunch of times, and then Jack wakes up, and Picard and Beverly are just absolutely happy that he's back. And then Jack tells Picard there's a saboteur on board, and it's a Federation officer, and it could be... Oh no! I can't go there yet. We then got to go to a scene where with Raffi and Worf, because Raffi and Worf start looking for the agent, well, the human who hired Skeen. So they find him, they chase him, Worf catches him, they take him back to Raffi's ship, and he starts to act weird. Now Raffi thinks this person is a drug addict, and that is why he is acting all weird and sweating already. And she tries to bribe him, threaten him. She starts to bribe him with drugs, but Worf starts to figure out this is not withdrawal symptoms. This is something he's seen before. Something very similar to a certain character called Oto. Yes, that is what it fucking is. He's a fucking changeling, and he hasn't fucking turned into liquid form yet. And I love how Worf fucking talks about it. Like, how long have you been apart from the Great Link? This is I can't fucking believe they brought back the Founders. And the way they explain it, oh my... This is a fucking amazing. I have wanted to know what happened after the fucking Dominion War about the Dominion since the end of fucking Deep Space Nine. Because you never really see how the Founders reacted to it. Yes, we found out Odo goes back. But did all the Founders like the fact they were beaten by solids? And now we find out... Well, what happens is Worf tells us that a small faction of the Great Link split off from the main link and are now trying to destroy the Empire, and everybody defeated the Dominion by trying to break their governments from the inside. And Worf has said he's been in contact with Oto, who's told him about this, who warned him about this, and now we figure out that the people involved are this group of changelings who have stolen weapons. But what they actually did was they stole multiple weapons from the Secret Star base to cover up the fact another weapon that they're planning to use to destroy the Federation. And now Worf and Raffi are going to have to go to that Secret Star base where the weapons were stolen to find out what the Founders actually took and what they're actually planning to do to the Federation. And then we go back to Jack, who tries to warn Picard and everybody that there's a Founder on board and that he's a massive danger to the crew. Oh my god! Oh my god, I just forgot the fucking scene. This is... Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to have to go back a little bit. I'm sorry. Again, I really did just want to mention the fact we have got the fucking Founders back. Sorry. That is just fucking fantastic. I mean, again, some people were saying it was going to be those alien worm things that go inside your brain. No, this is fucking 100 times better. Fucking hell. This is amazing. I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell that story. But I have to go back to Vadic's attack and what the weapon that she's using, again, what the weapon was in the middle of the ship. And what it is it's a portal weapon. So the Titan fixes its warp drive, well, at least fixes most of it, and they try to get out of the nebula, but the Shrike fires the portal weapon, and it pushes, well, it stops the Titan from getting out of the nebula, and it starts pushing it closer to the Shrike, and so it's pretty pointless to leave the nebula because they can't, because the portal weapon is too powerful for the Titan. So they had to head back into the nebula to try to see if they can escape in a different way. So this is the weapon that was stolen from the Federation, the portal weapon. We then get a chase scene where the Shrike is pretty much decimating the Titan. The Titan can't escape, but then Picard and Riker use a photon torpedo. They fire it at the Shrike and also fire a phaser at the torpedo to blow it up, knocking the Shrike aside, and then they can find somewhere to hide in the nebula. And then we get the Jack scene, and then we get the reveal of, you know, the fact it's the Founders who are involved. I know this review is kind of all over the place, but it's just, oh my god, it's just a fucking amazing episode, and there's just so much good stuff to get through. I'm just sorry it's a bit messy, but my god, this episode is a fucking amazing. So, Picard then goes to Riker and tries to convince him to start to attack the Shrike. It's their only way of getting out of the nebula. That's what Picard thinks. But again, Riker still doesn't want to risk the crew's life. He still thinks the best way to escape the nebula is to basically find another way out of the nebula and then warp to the nearest starbase. But Picard still thinks they should use the fact they know about the Saboteur and they know what the Shrike is following. It's following the leak, it's following the gas leak on the Titan. They can use it to attack. I mean, they can set a trap for the Shrike and push it into the nebula so they can get away safely. But again, Riker doesn't want to risk the crew's life. So the plan is basically find a way out of the nebula and get to the nearest starbase. Has set an explosive device on the Titan to knock out its warp drive capabilities. And this device blows up, and now Riker's plan to escape the Shrike is, well, dead at the moment. So Picard pretty much shouts at Riker to fire at the Shrike, telling them that you've got no other choice. So Riker does. He fires everything he's got at the Shrike, which is like 7 torpedoes. He fires it, but the Shrike uses the portal weapon to send the torpedoes straight back at the Titan, and all 7 torpedoes hit engineering and cripple the Titan's engines, making the ship free fall further into the nebula, which is a pretty terrible situation to be in. And then Riker just looks at Picard and tells him to get the fuck off the bridge because you basically just killed us all. And the scene ends, or the episode ends, with Picard leaving the bridge and the Titan falling further into the nebula. And that's how the episode ends. This was an amazing episode. I cannot believe this is what we are getting now from this. I mean, I'm still shocked. Completely shocked that this is Star Trek Picard. I'm still waiting for Picard to be, insulted, to be made to look like a bitch, for there to be some ridiculous plot line, and there just never is. The music sounds amazing. The characters all make sense. The Starfleet officers all look and sound professional. And the bad guy, fucking hell, the bad guys are just amazing. This is what Star Trek should have been from the beginning. New Trek should have been this. How the hell has CBS and Paramount taken this long to make a fantastic Star Trek? A fantastic Star Trek show. It's insane, and I'm just so happy. And I know this review is a bit messy because I just cannot believe how good this show or this episode was, and I cannot wait for next week's episode. And that's the end of my video. If you like this video, give it a like. If you dislike this video, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. And if you want to leave a comment, I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Entertain more soldier. Bye.